Today I thought we'd go through having a look at this. It's a 2.2 horsepower motor. I've already started work on it. The problem with it was the bearings, which are behind here, water had got in it, rusted. So I'm going to replace the bearings. Also the centrifugal switch had shorted together. So I'm just going to go over how to do that. There's 3 bolts on the outside. This motor, they're 13mm, so one there, and one there. So if you undo those, and then the 2 at the front there, and then to get it off, get yourself one of these hammers. If you haven't got one of these hammers, get just a normal hammer, whack a cloth around it, give this a gentle tap around here, and then just that will start to move, and then just start hitting it, moving it round and hitting it, and it will come off. Jam a screwdriver in it. Alright, once you've got that off, you'll be faced with this. This split pin holds this bearing in place. These can be a real bugger to get out, so get yourself some of these split pin pliers. I've already loosened this one off, but how I did it, these aren't quite the right size, is I got, where is it? Just did it like this, and then wedged the screwdriver behind it, and slid it off like that. Once you've got that off, this is the bearing. So I've already replaced this bearing, but I'll show you how to remove it. You need to get yourself a puller, or a pulley, I don't know what they're called, pullers. I had to grind this one down because it didn't fit behind this, so I ground that down, ground that one down, ground that one down, and all you do is you unwind it, and they're all at 120 degrees apart from each other. And when you fit it, when you put it on, you need to make sure it lies on the outside case of this bearing. Now, let me show you. This is a bearing I ordered, but it was rubber, so it was no good. You need to make sure that it sits just on the edge of the bearing like that, because if you do it too much, you'll actually push down and indent this case, which you don't want. Edge like that, to get a 14mm spanner or wrench. Just start to unwind it, and you'll see it pulls the bearing off. loose, you should be able to just pull it. Or not. I've got a bit ahead of myself there. Just make some edge there, leave that for the edge. There we go. Bearings off. And this is a centrifugal switch. Again, I've already taken this out and I've unseized it, unstuck it, and all that happened was inside there, I don't know if you can see, it should be, this is a centrifugal switch, and what happens is when the motor's standing still, that's pushed out, which makes this here normally close. It pushes those two contacts, which links those two, so that's normally closed. And when the motor spins up, centrifugal, these weights move in and it pulls it away, which releases those, so it takes the start capacitor out. I don't know if you can see. The camera's a bit crap. So all I'm going to do is put this back together. What we're going to do now is fit the bearings back, and I'll show you how to do that the way I do it. There's a couple of ways you can do this at home. If it's going to be a tight fit, and it's a really tight fit, you can go and get yourself some freezer spray. You can usually get them from Plumber Merchant, and they're something like this. And this is quick freeze, and you spray it on the shaft here, and you heat this ball bearing up, but you only heat the inside up. The only problem with doing that is if you heat it up too much, there's grease inside here already, is you'll take the grease and then melt the grease, and you can ruin the bearing if you do that. You can't heat it up too much, maybe 250 degrees probably maximum, so you can get a blowtorch on it or put it in the oven. With this particular one, I didn't need to do that. It fits quite snug. I just cleaned this up with a bit of wet and dry paper and then a rag, and it goes on pretty well. So I'll show you what I do. If you put that on there, and I got myself a bit of this is 25mm oval conduit. It's good that it's plastic, because if it was to slip or anything, it won't damage any of the bearing. And then I use just a hammer, just give it a generous tap, and just check to make sure you're not going too far. And then when you hear that, that's solid. You can hear that's pushing it over to this shaft. The other thing you need to be careful of is if you were to hit that too hard, there's a bearing in the other end of the motor, and you'll move the shaft and damage that bearing, which obviously you don't want to do. And then you simply just put it back together again. It's probably a good idea to whack a bit of grease on that. High temperature grease. make sure that's in there properly. This could all do with a clean out as well, and get a bit of wet and dry paper and just go around there, or a bit of WD and a bit of WD-40. And then it's just lining this up. So these contacts, I think they were there. There's that hole, there's a screw hole there. So it'd be that sort of angle. Just twist that round there. Line this up with the screw holes. I mean, you should be able to twist this round after anyway. And again, with a padded hammer, or if you haven't got a padded hammer, you can always use a hard hammer and a block of wood, or wrap your hammer up in a rag or hit the rag. Then you should be able to look through these holes. Let's see. There's one. There's the other. Nice, this, isn't it? Then just put these bad boys back in. I'll connect this all up and I'll show you it running in a minute. Okay, cool. So I've done the bolts back up. They're all equal tightness. You know, that's greased up. That's all good. There's oil in the back of the pump, so it's okay to turn on. We're all good to go. Just to let you know, this is 110 volts. Just goes for a center tap transformer. It's a proper lash up because I'm just doing it quite quickly, but let's give it a go. Perfect. That's running good. That noise you can hear there